Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Egg Wars. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. And what do I want more of? You. I want more of your viewership, and you're giving it to me, so my heart is satiated. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. But you know what even would make me feel a little better? If I take this sip, and you know what else even makes me feel even better than that? Is that I actually have my fucking microphone set on the proper Project Hertz today. The audio rate is actually the same as it's supposed to be. It's not less, so it's not getting fucked up. We should have some crisp, clean external mic audio today, thank goodness. And just to appreciate that shit, let's get that HD sip crack going on, baby. Ooh, mamma mia. Let's take that sip. That is a good sip. I'll set it there. Alright, so first things first, shout out to all you for tuning in. I'm not going to do any specific particular shout outs today because it's the weekend and everybody deserves to get recognized. So shout out to you for being awesome. I love you. I do have a special message though from our beloved friend Sensual Heretic. She commented yesterday and she said, can you please shout out my brother Dave in the next Egg Wars, 5 years to the day that he passed away. So I do want to say, you know, I have a lot of love for Sensual Heretic. She's one of my favorite people who I've ever been so fortunate to meet in my life. She's so just an incredible person, and I'm so very sad and sorry to hear that news, you know, but rest in peace to Dave. 5 years. And I hope that she's having an alright weekend. You know, we got a lot of love for her, so shout out to Sensual Heretic, and rest in peace to Dave. But I think that was, for anything specificized, I think that was about all I had to say. Now, today we're just going to be talking about a few different stories. I just got some stories to tell today. There's not going to be like a real central theme. Some of them are going to be to do it with one of my jobs that I've not often talked about. Now, last year, you know, I was working my 2-job life. I was going crazy. I was going wild with it. I was driving myself nuts, running myself ragged. But, you know, I've talked a lot about the gas station that I was managing or assistant managing at this time, but I don't often talk about the other job that I have, and so I have a few stories from that job I want to talk about today. And that was my job where I was working as cellular phone support, which was basically, it had some components to it with like cell phone technician work. I was running phones sometimes, taking calls from people, trying to give some over-the-phone support, and also working on cell phones. But before we get into those stories today, I do want to give a little update on one of my situations. Now, you know, obviously my foot is hurt and I'm going to potentially need surgery for my foot. But beyond that, I had already mentioned before I hurt my foot, I am going to be having some oral surgery soon. So I went in for an oral surgery consultation today and I had some x-rays taken. And to be honest, like, my thoughts on it are that I probably don't want to really have the surgery done, to be honest. I'm just going to be totally honest with you. Because it's like a wisdom tooth thing. And they might not ever, you know, come through. I don't even think they will. And where they are right now, they're still so far down. They still haven't raised up enough that by having this extraction, I'm risking having some nerve damage because the tooth is like so low still in the jaw that it's like, you know, the nerves are still like running right by the roots of it, and they don't know for sure. They're not going to be able to know for sure if, you know, when they're pulling that tooth, if it's going to, you know, if the nerves are like right on the tooth or if they're going through the tooth. If that's the case, I could have nerve damage from that. Or if the nerves are like, you know, separated, then it won't be as much of an issue. So, they told me about it a little bit. They said that the only way they would really know for sure is if I went and got this special 3D x-ray, but I would have to drive like to a whole other city for that, and it's not covered under insurance, and it's hundreds of dollars for this. I'm like, fuck it, you know what? I don't want to have to pay thousands of dollars to get these teeth pulled. You know, if all of a sudden, like 6 months from now, I just absolutely need it or I'm going to die, I'm going to have to pay like thousands of dollars. I'd rather just have it while it's covered under insurance. So basically, I'm going to have this oral surgery in about, I guess, is it going to be just about 2 weeks now? Is that right? Is that right? I'm so messed up with my times. Yeah, so about 2.5 weeks from now, I'm going to have this surgery to have some teeth out. You know, my teeth have always been messed up. I don't even have all the wisdom teeth I'm supposed to have. It's only a couple, so, at least maybe not as bad as it could be, but I'm gonna be out. Like I said, I'm gonna try and get some videos in the pipeline ahead of time before that. You know, fuck it. Even if I'm uploading shit from like VidCon or something, if I'm just fucking putting something out, cause they told me, you know, it's not gonna be any little laughing gas. It's not gonna be a little numbing. They're gonna put me totally under, you know, I'm gonna be totally out for like a whole day. So there's definitely not gonna be any videos out if I don't have something in the pipeline ahead of time. So I will try to be on top of that. I know people are telling me, they're like, you know, stay on top of your shit, Eggman. God damn it, you know, you're not staying on top of everything. You know, you're just your life is just this continuous snowball of tripping over your own feet. Now you're breaking your own feet, tripping over your own feet. And oh my goodness gracious, you gosh darn idiot. I know. I apologize. I'm trying to do better. We'll see though. We'll see what happens. So anyways, work stories. One more story before I get into the work stories, because it's just a story it's also related to a traveling incident that doesn't really fit anywhere else, but I think I talked about it on a stream one time before, and it's a crazy story, so I want to talk about it again. So anyways, this past year after Streamus, you know, I was feeling really on top of the world. I was feeling on my A game, so I said, you know what, I've never been to California in my life, I'm gonna go to California. So that's when I went to LA for that first time. That's when I went to Isla Vista. That's when I was working with Gold Jacket Luke. That's when I met up with, what the hell's his name? That's when I talked to the guy, the guy who did the music for Space Jam, was that it? God, it never really went anywhere, unfortunately. I'm sad to say with that guy, because I don't even remember what the fuck his name is now, but he did, like, Pinky and the Brain, Space Jam, Animaniacs, I think. Some guy, I can't remember what his name even is now, but, so this is back when I was feeling on top of the world. I thought I was, you know, it was like, I was strolling, I was creme de la creme. So I planned going out to LA, and somehow, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I got this ridiculous deal on a rental car, like $10 a day on a fucking luxury sedan. I mean, normally it would have been like fucking like $50, $60 a day. So I don't even know what the fuck was going on there. I lucked out big time. Super good deal. So I go to LA, I fly in, and I rented through like Budget or whatever the hell it was. But I go into the rental, you know, I flew in at whatever time it was. I'm trying to remember. It was dark out, I think. Oh, no, because it was like 7 o'clock at night. Okay, 7, 8 o'clock at night, that's right. So I was like, shit, I remember I got to where I was going right away, so it wasn't like early in the morning. Yeah, it was like 7, 8 o'clock at night. So I get there, and I'm going through, and I'm like, ooh, man, you know, you're walking, they have like the tiers of cars, you know, like the security waves, you know, like, all right, sir, what do you get? Oh, yeah, we got those over there. Keep going, keep walking. So I'm walking over, and I get over to luxury, and I find the one car that I want, you know, the car that I'm actually in the fucking EggWars intro, that little clip of me, like, in a car. That's that car I had. So I find the car I wanted, and I'm looking in it, you know, I throw my bag in there, in the back seat. I'm looking around, you know, all the features. I gotta figure out what the hell's going on with everything, you know, the push start, all this different shit. I'm trying to figure out what does everything. And first off, I already have my bag in the back. I'm in the fucking front seat, you know, kind of looking whatever. And some guy, you know, opens the passenger side door and he looks in and he's like, oh, you're taking this one? I'm like, yeah, it's in my zone. I got, you know, they just have the key sitting in there. So like, I'll go in and take, you know, you go to your zone, you get your key or whatever. Okay, cool. He's like, oh, I kind of wanted that color though. I'm like, well, fuck, dude, I'm already in here. So you can just get out of here because I'm in here. So fuck off. And he's like, oh, well, okay, yeah. So he shuts the door. I quick just fucking instantly lock the door because I'm like, what the fuck? You know, you don't see me sitting in here? Like, you could have fucking came up here and jacked me, dude. Like, you know, and I'm like, you know, what are you doing? You know, this is crazy. But anyways, I get in, I kind of feel for it a little bit. You know, I kind of get the feel for everything. You know, like I said, my fucking car I drive now is like 20 years old. So shit, I'm not knowing about any of that. back up, and there's a little camera there. You got the motion sensors on your 4 sides and everything. Like, shit, I don't know nothing about none of that. So I'm like, whatever. But I'm getting all the features figured out. I'm backing up, I'm looking for, okay, this is where we're going now. Okay, cool. So I'm going, and, basically I find where, you have all the shit in your car, like all the paperwork or whatever, and you go through this last lane or whatever it is, and you give them your ID. I don't think they needed your insurance at that point. But whatever it was all, we're in the line to go out, you get out onto rental. That's how it is from LAX. They got like Rental Car Boulevard is like actually the name of the fucking street. So you're there, and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of chilling. And there's one car up at the front. Then there's a pickup truck. Then there's me, and there's a car behind me. So I'm just chilling there, whatever. I'm like, oh, cool. I wanted to figure out how to get my fucking, aux cord plugged in and everything. Because my car is so old, doesn't even have aux cord, you know what I mean? So I don't know nothing about that. I'm doing cassette tapes and shit in my shit because it's so old. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm gonna figure out how to do aux cord, I'm gonna bump some tunes, I'm so cool. All of a sudden, this fucking pickup truck in front of me, and we are not very far away from each other. He starts shifting into reverse and backing up, and I'm just like, instantly fucking heart attack. I'm like, ah! Because all of a sudden I see the, boom, white, and backing up, I'm like, oh shit. I'm fucking looking behind me, I'm like, fuck dude, fuck. I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna back up into me, oh shit. But then, thankfully, he doesn't hit me. Couldn't even believe how close this guy got to me. And I'm trying to back up a little bit, and the guy behind me is like wondering what the fuck's going on. Well, it turns out, all of a sudden a couple of these employees kind of like coming over and trying to get us situated. They're like, all right, y'all need to back up over to the side here. Well, it turns out the very front car, which I couldn't even have seen, I wasn't being able to see it. It was a Ferrari that had been rented. Well, the thing is that the guy who was renting this Ferrari, he was not really actually renting the Ferrari. He had just somehow had fucking got into the whole, he got into like the rental car area and gone to like, like the Ferraris and the Bentleys or whatever. I don't know how fucking, how nice of a car can a fucking budget rent-a-car even rent out, you know what I mean? You'd think that there'd be like a special, place to get, so I don't even know what all like special cars they had there, but this guy was in a Ferrari. And so, they're like, the people are like surrounding his car. They're like, sir, where's your information? We don't have you on file for renting this vehicle. And he's of course like this, he was like a boomer looking guy. I would say like he looked like he was probably like 60 maybe, but not a rough looking guy. You know what I mean? Like he looked like he was kept himself in decent shape. And then there was like an older guy who I'd say looked like maybe like 70. He was in the passenger seat. And he's like, oh, what the fuck are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? This is my car. I rented this. I have it all. Pull up my information. It's in there. And they're like, sir, you don't have any of this information. Nothing's matching up. Like, you just fucking walked in here, basically opened the door and took the keys and thought you were just going to get out with this fucking car. And he's like, oh my goodness, this is an absolute travesty. Come on, Richard, let's go. And like the older man like walks out and they're fucking walking out. The car is just sitting there in the fucking, in like the exit way, sitting like this close to the tire spikes. So like, they almost couldn't even fucking bring it back into the lot. But they ended up bringing it back into the lot and they're bringing it back over to this other side, kind of trying to get it out of the way so that we could pull back around and get out of there. And so, I don't know, that was just ridiculous to me, you know what I mean? Like, I fucking, I'm getting my bearings straight. I'm just off the plane. I'm trying to get everything straight. And all of a sudden, like, first off, I'm thinking I'm gonna get fucking slammed by a pickup truck. And then there's some old man trying to steal a goddamn sports car. I just thought that was ridiculous. But anyways, back now, we'll move forward to the cell phone support stories. I've never really talked a lot about this. But, there's one story in particular that always fascinates me because a lot of the work that I did while I was there, God, I'm thinking I haven't even tapped into these for probably ever, so this is like, I'm thinking all kinds of different shit to talk about. But there was one instance where my district manager, our managers for our positions were basically just like, they made like $1 more an hour than us, and they pretty much did the exact same shit we did. They just, were basically tasked with trying to keep us up to date on information like new phone updates and releases and software updates and whatever kinds of things we might need to know about. But my district manager, he came to me and approached me and he said, now, listen, obviously, you're going to think when I say this, knowing where I was at the time where I was working so many hours, you're going to think to yourself, why the fuck would this idiot Eggman ever agree to this stupid fucking idiot? The reason why I did is because I just still wanted more money, and this got me even more money. I agreed to this guy that I would be free to work other locations other than the one that I had been essentially hired at. I told him I would be free to basically drive to these other locations that I was needed at, some of which were like 100 miles away. But the thing is, I got paid drive time, I got paid mileage, and the payment was very, very good for these. Now, once again, obviously when I'm super fucking where I was at, where I was getting like no free time, and I was awful, never having any time off, and of course also, if you remember, there was a point in time where I started having vehicle troubles. Now, I had stopped doing this when my vehicle started having troubles. I told him, you know, even though he continued to try to make me do it, I told him, fuck you, I'm not going to do it. So that was just kind of how it played out, but at the time, it was just such a good deal to go and get this drive time mileage, and it was like I could make a whole other fucking paycheck basically just off of the doing, just even the fucking drive time and mileage would add up to just really good money. So, any case, there was a store that he wanted me to go to a lot, and it was like the furthest one away, and it was just the most fucking atrocious store to go work at. And it was like I was working at like this, you know, basically there was like this kiosk sort of thing going on. Like I said, it was like a glorified cell phone kiosk position. It was more than that. There was like technician work and there was other shit there, but it was, you know, and there was phones I needed to field, you know, phone calls and shit I had to handle. But it was a horrible, horrible store, like this mall area. And when I first started going there, it turned out that one of the guys who worked in this store, who I'd run into every now and then, was a guy who I had went to high school with years and years ago, who had been in the military and then gotten out. And he was doing, I mean, you know, he was working there, so I mean, he wasn't making like a ton of money, but he was in school. I mean, he was an awesome guy. I think he had dated a girl for like 4 or 5 years. So I mean, shout out to that guy. If this guy, I don't remember what his name was. He's an Asian dude. If he ever sees this, shout out that dude. He was doing good for himself, for the most part. But anyway, so I'm working at this place, and it's the fucking slowest thing ever. Because I'm basically just there. There's not even a lot of technician work going on there. I'm pretty much just there fielding calls for like, you know, like a certain area of support. And I get a phone call one day, and there's a guy, and he's like, "Oh, my iPhone is just the darndest thing. I just can't seem to make my iPhone function properly. I need one of you young people to fix it for me." And I was like, "All right, buddy, here's our location. Come on in. This isn't like necessarily a technician location, but fucking bring it in. We'll see what's up. You know, I'll see what I can do." So he brings it in, and there was this thing about old people. Old people and phones are, you know, probably the worst fucking thing. If you think like old people on social media is bad, I mean, old people and phones were like the most goddamn. I'm not even talking like old. I'm talking like, you know, basically boomer and up for sure. Even some Gen X shit. Even some young people. There was a guy who I knew. I remember there was a young guy who I talked to one time who was 30 years old, and he was getting his smartphone set up. He was getting his first smartphone set up, and you know, Android phone, and it was like a, you know, cheap Android phone, like $30-40 or whatever. And I told him, "What's your email, you know, for your Google account or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't do email. That's, you know, email, I don't want anything to do with that." And I was like, "You have a smartphone, you kind of, you know," and this happened with old people too. I would usually just fucking set them up a goddamn Gorilla Mail account. I'd fucking just basically set up all their shit for them. I'd tell them this is your password, you know, and maybe they ended up getting locked out of their shit forever. I don't really care. I don't do that anymore. But, this old man, anyways, he comes in. And I shit you not, he was like 95 years old. Insane. He's got a fucking iPhone 5. And he had gotten it shipped from this old person phone company called Consumer Cellular, which is basically just like phones for old people. If you heard like the Jitterbug or whatever it is, like the giant buttons, they sold some phones kind of like that. But they tried to market themselves to all ages because it was like, a decent phone plan. It was kind of like, you know, it was kind of pay as you, or I don't want to say like pay as you go, but whatever. It was a simple enough phone plan. There wasn't a lot of extra shit in it, so people could figure it out easy enough. But it was really definitely, you know, you got like AARP discounts. It was really marketed to old people pretty much. But he had this iPhone 5 from there, and I hadn't even seen them ever even sell this shit. So I'm not even as much into phones now as I was then, because I had to fucking read up like a million books of phone shit back, you know, last year when I was working on this stuff. But I'm looking at it, and his phone, it just wasn't ringing. Like, it was not ringing at all. And I couldn't figure out why. Like, I was going through every single goddamn thing on his phone, and I'm like going over and I'm going on Google. You know, that's like the whole other part of being a fucking tech support person is like, you know, Google everything. Just fucking Google all the problems. Google every loose keyword you can imagine. Just you know, just trying to figure out, well, does this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing. And, he actually, it was crazy to me because I had these people who were, you know, 50 years old and they couldn't fucking, I mean, shit, I had people 40 years old that they were looking at a fucking iPhone and they had no idea what the hell they were even doing. They had no fucking idea what was going on. They didn't know anything about anything. And this guy, like, he was like, well, you know, I did this and this and this, and I did this and this and this and this, and I'm like, shit, that's more than like 95% of the people, and you're 95 years old. I'm like, what the fuck? So it turns out that the reason why his ringer was turned off is somehow this phone had shipped with this like disability mode enabled, which maybe because it was for an old person. I don't know if that's like just something they're like, oh, it's an old motherfucker. You know, the phone's not even activated, but fuck it, we're just gonna put disability mode on. And so what it did, excuse me, I got something in my throat. I might hawk something up here in just a second. Anyway. He, it somehow had this disability mode enabled where it was like trying to connect to a fucking hearing aid. I was like, I had never seen anything like this and there was no indication of it, but I finally get it going and I finally get it fixed or whatever. And I hand the phone back over to him and he's just like going like fucking, you know, he's on his fucking tennis ball walker and he's like, oh yeah, that's better here. Now he's fucking setting up contacts and shit. I'm like, holy fuck, dude, you're more technologically savvy than any young person that I've ran into. But speaking of old people, there was another time where I saw some very, very fucked up shit, and let me tell you about this. So I was at the location that I had initially been hired at, and this older man comes in, I would say probably like 65 to 70, and he's a very, he kind of has a very offsetting tone about him. He's just kind of like, you know, he's like, hey, how's it going? Good to see ya. I need a new phone. I need something new with my phone. And he just was kind of a weird guy. But all of a sudden, like, you know, I'm talking to him like, okay, you know, we have like the contract carriers. We have the non-contract carriers. These are the phones you could get with a non-contract carrier. You know, this is what you could order offline. This is what we could get you on a contract if you want. You know, if you get on a contract, this is what they have available, whatever. And he fucking pulls out this envelope, and it's full of $100 bills. And he's like, well, let's see here. I got about 10,000 right here. And, you know, it's like fucking whatever, how much, you know. He's like, well, you know, I got about 10,000 right here. I just want something that's pretty good, that takes a good picture. And you know, whatever the plan you need is. I'm like, okay, you know, fair enough. So, he actually, I think he went on like fucking Boost Mobile or some shit. I can't remember what happened, but he got some phone that was like, you know, a fucking non-contract phone, unlocked phone. It was like $100 or something like that. And, you know, he wanted me to help him set it up, and he wanted to get on his Twitter account. He's like, oh, I use the Twitter to talk to some people. I want to get in on that. So, he came, you know, this was like a 2-part thing. So I basically gave him the information. Then he ended up coming back like a day or two later, and he has his phone and he has his shit, and he wants to basically try and figure out, can he transfer what's on his old phone onto his new phone and whatever. So he has his older phone, and it's not really a smartphone. It's kind of like I guess they call it like a feature phone. It was like in between smartphone and dumb phone. And, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, let's see here. Well, I'm kind of looking and seeing like, you know, if there's anything like number, you know, 'cause it it's difficult to transfer somebody's, just off of like an older phone onto a newer phone, just like transferring their address book, with like, there's no, nowadays there's apps, like smartphone to smartphone apps, but, you'd had to have taken out like the fucking SIM card and, tried to, get a hold of the carrier and say the SIM card for this is this and transfer it onto the new SIM card or whatever. It was just kind of a pain in the ass, so I was kind of looking at it. But I happened to realize, after looking at it for a little bit, that the background of this guy's phone, his old phone, seemed to be an erect penis. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. I'm looking at this and I'm like, there's this immediate feeling sets over me of like extreme discomfort. Because I'm looking at this and I'm realizing there seems to be some younger man's erect penis as the background of this phone thing. And I'm like, yeah, I just can't seem to figure, fuck, I just don't know. You might just need to do it manually. You might just have to do it manually and, and re-manually enter the phone. And he's like, oh yeah, I think that would be okay. And then he kind of looked at it himself and he fucking has an image folder on his phone. He opens it up and there's 10 pictures of his fucking old man face just like this, looking down into the phone like this, and then there's that picture of the dick, and I'm like, oh Christ. And anyways, he had bought this non-contract phone, so I get it out of the box, I get the shit activated, I fucking go through the whole setup process or whatever, and I go on, I fucking log into our Wi-Fi, I fucking download Twitter for him, he goes into his fucking Twitter account, and, it's just this fucking, obviously, I don't even know why I had to look at his fucking Twitter account, but he just didn't, he kept on, he's like, well, just make sure that this is right, and this is right, or whatever, and I log into, or, it's fucking signing into his Twitter account, and it's this fucking, he follows, all, young male model, young, Calvin Klein men, and all this different shit, and I'm like, oh my god, and he's just, fucking giving me all these, looks and stuff, I'm just like, oh Christ. And he ends up he wants to tip me money, and then he's and he's just being fucking weird, and I'm just like, oh god, this is just dirty. I probably fucking had, by association, I probably touched old man dick. I'm like, gross, disgusting, awful, terrible. But, let's see here. What else was some other stupid shit people would do? You would have people who would go and, oh, fuck. Well, no. People would go and they would buy a phone from, they would get a contract phone or whatever the case would be from whatever they could buy. It didn't even matter where they would buy it because they just, with us being tech support, they'd come to us and you'd have people who would go and, they'd be offered, they'd buy the phone or whatever, and then they're like, oh, well, if you pay extra $7 a month or $10 a month or whatever, you get phone insurance, and if it breaks, you can replace it, or whatever the case might be, or you can get screen repair if it's, depending on the phone. So they would end up getting some phone and breaking it and not having insurance, but then they would come back and be like, oh yeah, I just bought this phone, 2 months ago, so I want to just trade it in, and it's like, oh shit, it doesn't work that way, you know what I mean? You can't just do that. I'm sorry, maybe you did just buy it yesterday, maybe you went next and took a shit on it or something, but, you didn't, there's no, I think, if there was a manufacturer defect, I think a lot of these carriers would have a 14-day return policy or something like that, if it was a guaranteed manufacturer defect, as determined by them, but people would just do stupid shit oh yeah, I accidentally ran over my phone, can I just get a new one? And it's no. Or, there would be people who, I don't know, it was just everybody, it had the worst elements of retail in the way that people would do some stupid shit and then turn to you and expect you to just magically voila and fix everything when that wasn't the case and there was no fucking way that was gonna work. God, I mean, it was I'm trying to remember, there was one guy who I'm trying to remember what the hell was going on. He had gotten a phone, what the hell was the fucking circumstances of this? I don't even remember. Well, he had bought a phone, and he had, or no, I think it was he hadn't activated it or something, and to be fair, this guy kind of did get fucked, but he had bought a phone and not activated it, not anything, which, that was supposed to be, from what I understand, I've never worked at an actual Verizon store or anything like that, but from what I understand, they're supposed to run through the activation of the phone when you get it. Well, you got this phone, and for whatever reason, they didn't do that. Like, he just got the phone and he didn't activate it until like a month later. And then all of a sudden it was having some kind of like manufacturer defect. But their thing was, because it was an iPhone and Apple was like, within like 14 days, that's like the only coverage you get on a manufacturer defect. So he had, he's like, oh, it doesn't work. So he brings it back to the store or whatever that he got it from. And they tell him, yeah, we can't do shit. And he goes fucking ape shit and like threatens to kill people in the store or whatever. And he runs off. The cops are probably chasing him or some shit. Because I ended up having to make so many phone calls about this guy. So he comes to our tech support thingy and he's like, oh, yeah, this phone's broken, so give me a new one. And we're like, you didn't buy this phone here. You bought this phone from this store. He's like, yeah, I went there and they won't give me a new one because it was like a month ago, but I need a new one now. And like, no, okay. We can't do anything about it. And he fucking just like, this dude was like 6'6", fucking shredded. I think the reason why I think he would have been on vacation in Thailand, fucking some lady boys or something. Dude was fucking, looked like goddamn Sharky. He's just like, you're gonna give me a fucking new phone right the fuck now! I'm not gonna take this fucking shit anymore! You give me that fucking phone now! And like, we only worked so many hours, like it wasn't always, like there were some days that I worked there that I worked like fucking 12-hour shifts, but there were also some days there that we were only open for like 4 hours, like it kind of depended. So he came and like, right as it was going to be like time for the shift to be ending anyway and like everything was going to be shut down. But he would not leave. He's like, I'm not going to fucking leave. The other store, I called them and they're like, oh yeah, we told them there's nothing we could do. So it took like a fucking week-long process where I had to go and fucking basically, because this was an iPhone, we had to call like this Apple store that was like motherfucking 150 miles away or some shit. It was like, it was totally way out of the way and, he had to fucking go to like the next, like all these levels of shit. They had like some kind of thing, this Apple store, like the genius meeting where I guess like the Apple store has geniuses, which are like their specialty people. And so, like, we're having to set up all this shit, and the dude's just sitting there fucking raging, nonstop, threatening to, like, fucking break our necks, all this different shit. I'm like, why do we have to fucking even stand for this? It's ridiculous, you know what I mean? It's such bullshit. I fucking, the guy, I mean, I kind of respected the dude just because he was fucking shredded. He was obviously, the fucking super alpha dude. He was probably roid raging, but he was a fucking, I respected him just on his physique and him being a fucking not taking any shit from anybody. But I really didn't want to be on the receiving end of his bullshit either. And that was a whole lot of just fucking awful, awful shit. And I was always trying to fucking roll over these issues onto my supervisor / manager. Because the dude who was my supervisor / manager was a literal cuckold. He was a literal cuckold. He was Antifa, and the thing is like, I wasn't even like super politically charged at this time of the, at last year. I mean, obviously there was election, there was all that stuff going on before Trump got elected, but I was so worn out. It was like, it was difficult almost for me to be super politically charged about things. But this dude was an actual like Antifa cuckold. He was, him being a cell phone support manager guy. He was a huge, huge, huge Apple fanboy. Everything Apple, he had to have it. He was kind of a fucking man-child in a way. Like, he didn't, he never wanted to have kids, except he was already dating a chick who had a kid from some other guy, and they had like a total sexless relationship. She fucking was a total fat bitch, treated him like shit, and, it was fucked up, but he just was like, he didn't care about, he wanted to have the latest Pokemon game. He wanted to have the latest, fucking Apple Pen or whatever stupid shit they were pumping out, that all this garbage, And, he would just talk about, because his father had been like this, not even a professor. His father had been a journalist. His father had been a leftist journalist. And, like a super far left, total, spineless, new male, except he was like a boomer, so he was like, he was like the prodigal new male who ushered in like the feminine, pussified, spineless, bitch-made men, the trickle-down effect into the later generations. So this guy who I worked with, who was my supervisor / manager, he had gone to college to get a degree in political science because he wanted to use his political science degree to be like a far left journalist. Of course, I wasn't really going anywhere for him, but, I remember when I was talking to him at the time, because, like, this is when I was, doing, like, trying to start off the Next Thread podcast. So I was trying to get some things going in my life. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm trying to do this podcast. And some of the people who I worked with were pretty cool people. And they're like, oh man, chase your dreams, dude. Chase your dreams. We're rooting for you. But he was kind of just like, he's like, I really deserve my own television show. I really deserve my own radio show. I really deserve my own newspaper column because I know what's going on in this world, and there's going to be a revolution. There's going to be a revolution. We're going to have a big revolution, and it's going to be violent, and a lot of people are going to die. But we really have to, we really have to seize the means of production. And we really have to, we really gotta do this. Oh, by the way, have you seen the new Pokemon game has come out? Have you seen the new Pokemon game? Oh my god, I cannot wait to get my hands on the new Pokemon game. Oh, except I gotta watch my wife's son, tomorrow, so unfortunately I'm gonna be a little tied up, but I can't wait for that new Pokemon game. It's gonna be so cool. Oh my god, it's gonna be like the best. Oh, Christ. I'm gonna just keep it going here. Let's see what else. I'm trying to think of another story. I'm sure there's other ones I have. One that would happen a lot would be people would get a new phone and they would want to transfer their people bought iPhones, I've never had an iPhone, I don't care for them, but people, that's like the status phone to have. So it'd usually be like some fucking pumpkin sipping latte, middle-aged woman with her fucking, her daughters who, all watch YouTube fucking makeup tutorials and they'll have fucking painted on eyebrows and they all look like they're gonna go absolutely nowhere in life. They all come in and they all, have gotten their new iPhones. They're like, well, I got my new iPhone and like, I want to get like my old iPhone stuff like onto my new iPhone. So like, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, it's pretty simple. Especially with iPhones, all you gotta do is fucking plug it into your computer and you can basically just like fucking, forget how it is, but you basically can like, just like you would do on any normal non-Apple phone, you can just pull all the shit that's off the phone and basically, then plug in like the new phone to the computer and fucking just like smack it all on there. But see, people apparently don't use desktop computers, especially people that do Apple products. They really, really don't care about desktop computers. They don't give a fuck about that. They don't want anything to do with that. They just don't care at all. So, it's like, well, there's apps. There's apps you could do where it's like, there's, I forget, there was one we used that was, I can't remember what the fuck it's even called now, but it's got like millions of downloads where you can basically like, select phone contacts, select videos, select photos, and transfer over. So I was like, okay, seems simple enough. There was one time, though, that I will never fucking forget because I wanted to fucking kill myself because I had to stay on the clock 90 minutes after I was supposed to fucking leave because of these stupid piece of shit people. Oh my goodness gracious. These ladies came in. And they had their fucking phones. I'm talking about, the most fucking, it was a lady and her daughter, I'm pretty sure. And, the mom is trying to be 20 years old still. She's got that fucking talk to the manager haircut. She's got shitty tattoos of like, live young, live free, dove, infinity symbol. All the most fucking shitty thought tattoos. The bitch, her skin is like a leather handbag. And she's got her fucking daughter is obviously she just has low class painted all over. She's got fucking cotton candy color hair. She's wearing fucking hooker makeup even though she's probably like 15. She's fucking looks like she's stupid as fuck and they're just totally just not good, not desirable looking people to be around at all. And of course, their personalities matched all of this completely. So they came in and they both had gotten new phones. And they both had their old phones, and they both wanted to fucking transfer everything that was on their old phones onto their new phones. Okay, well that's just fucking great. I told them, I said, basically, if you go and do this at home on your computer, it's gonna take like an hour probably, depending on how much shit you got on there for both of these phones to transfer the shit over. It's probably gonna take like an hour, depending on how much you got. So they're like, oh, we don't do the computer stuff. That's why we're here. You're the guy that we need to talk to. You're the fucking tech support guy. So we don't care about anything. You're the tech support guy. You gotta tell us what to do. Okay. So I take their old phones and I fucking go and I install these fucking stupid, transfer apps onto their phones. And it's like, oh, it takes this much time to download. I'm fucking, whatever. And this is okay. And this goes on to here, whatever. So I go onto I'm doing the younger chick's phone, the daughter's phone. And it's a fair amount. It's going to take like probably fucking like 30 minutes, but you know, I'm like, okay, well, you know, then it's going through our Wi-Fi, obviously. So I'm like, okay, well, this is probably going to, you know, you're going to have to be sitting here for like a half hour, but okay, it's whatever. Okay, whatever, that's fine. So I go over onto the mother's phone, and she, you know, her phone contacts, you know, fair amount, photos, fair amount, and she has like 30 gigs of video, which is going to take like, according to this fucking app, it's going to take like 5 hours to transfer. I'm like, listen, lady, okay, let me tell you this. What is this video? Like, you really should just either do this, you know, you have the apps on your phones now, so I did that shit for you, just go home. You know, maybe it's better for both of you, just go home and just, you know, go and do it on your own time, you know, have it set to transfer while you go to bed, you know, everything's gonna be, when you wake up, everything's gonna be gravy, everything's gonna be good, you know, hey, why not? And now, I would try to do this a fair amount, because why are you gonna sit there and, you know, why, you know, any logical person, I mean, maybe, is it just me? I don't know. I would think any logical person would say, hey, you know what, this guy's telling me that this is gonna take like 6 hours to do, all I have to do is press this button on this phone, and then press this button on this phone, and it fucking transfers everything as long as we're connected to my Wi-Fi. So what's the big deal? Seems simple enough. Okay, let's go. But women especially would be like, well, how do I know? How do I know you're telling the truth? You probably just want to get me out of here, don't you? And of course, exactly, this is what this woman does. She's like, well, I would really just be more comfortable if you did it here. I'm like, listen, lady, it's not gonna work for me to do this here. It's gonna take like 6 fucking hours for you, all this video to transfer on our Wi-Fi, because it's not that fucking great to begin with. It's meant really just to transfer over your, you know, you can back up this shit to your iCloud or whatever the fuck you're using. Really, all my shit, if you have bringing a new phone, really all I'm supposed to do is just, you know, get the phone activated if it's not for you, and, you know, get your contacts transferred over so you have your phone numbers and shit. All the important stuff, you know, that sort of thing. But she just would not take that. She was just like, well, just try it, okay? So I actually had the chick, the daughter, her shit was going. It was going alright. You know, it wasn't too bad. So hers is going, and I'm like, oh, I knew that if I started the mother's at the same time, that it was probably gonna lag a little bit, because we're doing both of these on the Wi-Fi. So that was just my thoughts on it, but the mother was not having it. She's just like, just fucking do it. Just do it. You know, I don't care. Just fucking do it. I'm like, okay, fine. Alright, so I fucking tap the buttons, and it fucking starts going. Of course, her contacts are like, you know, 1 MB, so they transfer over. Okay, and it starts working on her pictures. And of course, then the daughters start slowing down, because they're fucking trying to transfer both at the same time, and the Wi-Fi just wasn't that good. So I'm sitting there, and I'm fucking doing other shit. I'm doing the rest of my work for the day to get going and whatever. And, you know, it goes to be about time for me to go, so I'm fucking, you know, making sure all my everything's all wrapped up for the day. I'm about ready to clock out, and, the daughter's transfer has slowed down a huge amount, and the mother's is hardly going at all. I'm looking at it, I'm like, listen, I gotta go. You know, this really isn't gonna go anywhere. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, do this shit on your own at home. This is not gonna complete here. You're gonna have to end up leaving. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, and the daughter, and they just start freaking out. They're like, oh my god, I can't believe this. This is just fucking ridiculous. You know, oh my god, fucking god, oh my fucking god. Like, we want to speak to the manager right now. We want to speak to the fucking manager right now. So I called up my manager, and I was like, hey, you know, these people are pissed off, and I told him what the fuck to do, and he's like, alright, well, let me tell you something, how about, I'll just write you in, how about you just stay a little bit longer, and, you know, just wait until, you know, the girls is finished, and, so then they know what to do or whatever, and I'm like, I was fucking livid that he would say this. I'm like, I don't owe you shit. I don't fucking owe you me sitting here and fucking doing this still, but I did need the money, you know what I mean? I was in a fucking position where I just needed as much money as possible, so I'm like, I fucking just was pissed off, but at the same time I was like, fine, whatever. So I sat there and waited fucking way over my fucking time I was supposed to leave for the daughter's thing to finish, and then it finishes, and then she had like one video that for some fucking reason, I don't know why, but it didn't transfer. It was like it said on there, one video did not transfer successfully. And so she's like, oh, do we need to redo that? And I'm like, you know what? No, it's fine. whatever that video is, fuck your video. I don't give a fuck about your video. Is what I'm thinking. When I'm like, no, that's not, it's a glitch. It's fine. And then I was like, so you know what to do now? You see it works. It works great or whatever. And she looks and like her contacts were on her phone. So her fucking mother was like, oh, okay, so it does work then. Okay, all right. Well, I just wanted to make sure it worked because I wasn't sure. And I'm like, you stupid fucking bitch. Why would it not work? It's a fucking app with like 10 million downloads. Why would it not fucking work? I fucking told you what to do, you stupid goddamn cunt. You wasted my fucking time. I want to fucking kill you, you stupid bitch. You wasted my fucking life. You know, okay, cool, I got paid overtime, whatever, great. But you wasted my fucking life because you couldn't listen to some goddamn obvious advice that anybody with 2 fucking brain cells to rub together could fucking realize. Ah, God. Well, I think that's probably going to be where I'll cut it for today. Some good old work stories. I really, I'd say how much I hate about retail work, but fucking tech support work, that shit drove me up a fucking wall because old people do not know anything, and not only do they not know anything, but they refuse to listen to reason and logic, but yet at the same time, they'll fucking go on and, spend, once they get onto a computer, once they get onto Twitter, they're ready to spend fucking 80 hours a day talking about lay evil Drumpf, hashtag resist, hashtag, they're fucking just tweeting at Drumpf all day, talking about how Drumpf is an evil Nazi, but they can't fucking figure out how to transfer a goddamn picture from their phone onto a fucking computer. Alright. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to EggWars. Hope y'all enjoyed. I'm just gonna I'm kind of just shucking 34-minute thing. I'm just gonna make them as long as I want from now on. I think people like that maybe. I don't know, maybe a little more for your view time. But I do apologize if I'm not doing as much as you want. Sorry about that. I've been in a lot of pain. I've been kind of fucked up lately, but there is more shit coming. You guys are gonna see some hot stuff coming soon. I'm telling you. Just wait on it. Take my word for it. It's gonna be coming. It's gonna be great. But anyways, until next time, my friends, I hope y'all have continue having a great weekend, and hopefully the audio on this is a little crisper. Hopefully it fucking worked this time and it's not fucked up. And in any case, we'll see you next time.